here last meeting, so we didn't have a joke. So I suggested to my wife, maybe I should do two. And she said, please don't. So we have one joke. Here we go. What's the difference between a dad joke and a bad joke? One letter. I thought you guys were going to come up with nothing, but that's okay.
That is hysterical, John.
Yeah, this is the, yeah. The laugh.
Okay,
I like the
canned
laugh, canned laughter. I love it. It's great. Okay, is there any
Yeah.
anything from the select board that they want to raise that is not on the agenda? Me? Bob? A couple of things. One is that Saturday, the 22nd is the Eastham Turnip Fest. So you know that. Also Saturday, the 22nd at 2:00. That Eastham Turnip Fest is like 10 to 3. At 2:00 on First Encounter Beach is the duck race. And that's a lot of fun to go see the kids run around and root for their ducks and so forth. And there's also turkeys and pies that are given away. So
That's Saturday too?
that is Saturday as well at 2:00. They have to do it based upon the tides. Okay, the other thing I want to raise is to let people know that there are groups and people that are concerned in Eastham to provide food for those who have trouble getting food. We have a refrigerator and a pantry at the health department, which is the building between the fire station and town hall. And Jackie, it's open
8 to 4.
8 to 4, Monday through Friday. So that's
Friday 8 to noon.
Oh, yeah.
Fridays 8 to noon, right. There's also, in front of the chapel on the Pines, there is a box there where people drop off food that you can pick up. The Council of Aging has many opportunities. They have meals and so forth that can be delivered, you can pick up and so forth. And the Eastham United Methodist Church, Monday 4 to 6, Tuesday 9:30 to 12:30, and Thursday 2 to 4 p.m. has a food pantry. Most of the food coming that's from Outer Cape, Lower Cape Outreach does that and gets a lot of food from Boston Food Bank, but that's available for people in Eastham who need help with food. If there's any more stuff, we'll try and remind people as it comes around. But if you know someone who needs help, drive them there, tell them about this, whatever. But there are people trying to help those who need food in Eastham, so people don't go hungry. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to have anything? No? All right, then we will move to our public hearing. If you give me 1 second, I will find the notice I have to read. Okay, a public hearing will be held on Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the Earle Mountain Meeting Room at the Eastham Town Hall, 2500 State Highway, and by remote participation regarding Plan Number 220-56640, dated September 15th, 2025, from NSTAR Electric Company and EVERSOURCE Energy, who request permission to install 50 feet of 3-inch conduit and one handhole 37374/H8-A on Epanow Road. It's to provide new underground electrical service at 255 Epanow Road, and it was published on October 30th in the Provincetown Independent. All right, so a public hearing, and I think, Jessica, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Wonderful. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Select Board. Again, Jessica Elder representing EverSource. Thank you for having me this evening. Unfortunately, Marissa Jackson had a conflicting schedule, so I'm covering for her. So we're petitioning for this work order 22056640. Again, reiterating what was just said, we're requesting to install one new handhold, and that's going to go from an existing pole labeled 374/8. It's going to go about 10 feet under the side of the road, and then across about 50 feet over to the customer installed handhold at 255. So the beginning part of the work is going to start between numbers 230 and 250 Epanow. And again, as I say, the over to the customer installed handhole. So this work is to provide service to the customer at 255, which is new construction going in. It's a new home going in. The work we do shouldn't take any more than 2 to 4 days. We will request a detail if it's necessary to make sure that the area stays safe for any pedestrians or passing traffic, as well as our crew members. All work will be restored back to original state or better. This work will be done by mole boring under the road, not trenching, so very little disruption to the road will take place.
It's going to be trenched under the
It's going to be
road?
bored, not trenched, so we won't be digging.
Bored under the road. Okay.
Yes,
Not
yes.
dug up. Thank you.
Not dug up, correct.
All right. Anyone have any questions?
Sounds pretty straightforward to me.
Looks that way. Any public comment from anyone? None? All right. Do I hear a motion to approve plan? What's the number now?
374/H8-A.
All right.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Microphone's not on.
Further discussion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3, all opposed, none, 3-0. Jessica, you did a good job pinch hitting, so thank you.
Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You too. Well, you
All
too.
righty. All right,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
All right, next we move on to Rick White, who is our consultant as we look for a new town manager, and he's been helping us. Rick, if you want to push that forward so we can see you a little better, or you can sit down if you,
Thank you.
it rolls, never mind. You got it? Okay. You're good. You're good. We can see you, Rick. Go ahead.
My name is Rick White, I'm principal partner at the firm of Grew White Consulting, and we were hired by the board to help it with its succession planning as it relates to the imminent retirement of Jackie Beebe come at the end of this fiscal year. We operate under the premise and bias that fit in a community and recruiting is just as important as experience and qualifications. And as such, outreach in terms of our analysis was really important. So we went and solicited feedback from a fairly sizable group of staff, what we call community leaders, basically people that are vital to the community, that play a role as either elected or appointed officials or just are influential in the community. And those people were identified by the select board. We do a group synopsis from the staff and from the community leaders, write it up generally, and review it with the select board to get their feedback. The board has copies of the synopsis from each of those groups, as well as a recruitment brochure if it decides to do a full-blown recruitment. The recruitment brochure is basically a piece that's designed to attract a busy executive, provide them with enough important information to get their attention. The synopsis will help you do some screening, but also be very beneficial to the candidates, the serious candidates, if you go and do a full-scale recruitment. As I mentioned, we interviewed, I guess it's the next slide, please. The participants in the survey were department heads for the staff, union officials, middle management. In total, there were over 22 individuals, and that's represented in the staff synopsis. With community leaders, the board put forward 16 names. We made several attempts to reach all of the suggested people. 14 of 16 responded. They were all active, engaged citizens, which included what I call permanent residents, but also some seasonal residents, taxpayer non-residents, as you call them. And of course, those two synopses were reviewed with each individual board member, and their feedback was solicited as well. Next slide, please. The good news is that the select board, the community leaders and staff share a passion, affection, and pride in living and working in Eastham. As a recruiter, or even as a former town manager, you really want to work in a place where people love their community, are committed to it, and feel beauty in that. And that's something that you have, and it's a very attractive piece for securing interest from candidates. The other incredibly important issue, and it's not seen in a lot of places, is the community leaders and staff respect, admire, and support each other, as well as the select board. The community leaders and the staff view the board as being very representative of the community. They admire how they go about doing their work. And despite whatever policy issues they have, they admire their ability to work together and work collaboratively. And it shows in what you've been doing over the last several years. And the community leaders see that, they appreciate that, and they want more of it. They have a lot of respect for the staff and for the board, and they would like to see that continue. They all interviewed were very pleased with the progress that you've made, the direction of the town, and the commitment to continue making progress. They especially pleased with the town's financial position, the cash reserves that it's accumulated, and how it positions them for the future. They would like all of that maintained. They also want and see Eastham as a very special place that's unique to the Cape. And they really, as much as they want progress, they don't want to see that changed. They'd like the board, the staff, and the town administrator to appreciate it and to do everything in their power to preserve the community in its unique character, in its unique personality, and the culture that comes with it as much as they possibly can. They're especially pleased with two major projects, the water capital project that was passed and has been implemented, and the most recent passage of the wastewater community. They're very proud and very surprised, actually, at the outcome of the wastewater, and pleased. And They would like very much for that to continue and for the town to continue its communication around that issue so that everybody is aware of what's gone on and what will continue to go on. The way we went about the questionnaire was very broad. I try really hard not to bias or prejudice anybody I interview. And you can do that by asking pointed or directed questions. So most of everything that I ask people we interviewed are open-ended questions, except for the follow-up. If someone would give me an answer and I'd like a little bit more elaboration, I'd hone in on that. But essentially, we started off the interview by asking the participants what skills, attributes, and experience do they believe are essential for Eastham's next town administrator possess? What do you see as the issues and challenges that Eastham's next town administrator will be facing, both in the short and long term? And what do you see as Eastham's strengths as a community? And generally, in some cases, I did follow up after reviewing my notes and having some questions. But in most cases, people were incredibly direct, generous with their time, and I really appreciated it. In terms of the next slide, please, the skills, experience, and attributes that the community sees and the staff sees that are important for the next town administrator to be aware of and to carry through on is stability. Again, they're proud of the stable way the board goes about doing its business, but they're also very proud of the fact that they've had two long-term town administrators who've been successful. Sheila, who focused a lot in putting the town in a favorable financial position, and Jackie, who has carried on with that benefit and enhanced it, but also opened up all sorts of opportunities for increased transparency, communication, accessibility that people really appreciate. And they don't want either of those values to go away. In fact, they want more of it. Whenever you do something well in municipal management and people like it, they don't say maintain it, they say enhance it. And the next town administrator really has to understand that their job is to keep a stable organization moving forward, but also maintain and enhance the strengths of the community, which is its financial stability and its relationship with the community. The community sees Eastham as a welcoming place where they can get answers and they can participate and they become part of the solution and not part of the problem. And they want that to continue. They want more opportunities. They appreciate the consistency and the predictability that's existed, the inclusiveness, your ability to go out and beyond your role and seek partnerships with the community, with ad hoc committees and other events that you do. They also are committed to effective communication. They're especially pleased with the communication that was made during the wastewater proposal. They thought the board and the staff did a brilliant and wonderful job with that. They would like to enhance that. They believe that the town is going to be challenged with a lot of projects in the future. And they really are encouraged by the fact that they were included, but also communicated with by the town, and they want more of that as the projects move forward. They're excited about the progress, a little apprehensive about making sure they're included, but they have a lot of trust and faith in you. They would like a town administrator who's an advocate and a protector of the staff. They have a lot of the community, the staff has a lot of value to the community and a lot of respect. The staff would like a leader who's not a micromanager, who respects their professional and subject matter expertise, someone who trusts them and encourages them. The community wants someone who's transparent. They also want a leader who has strong financial skills, who errs on the side of collegiality and collaboration, is relatable, affable, personal. People feel welcome coming here, and they want that to be maintained. They don't want that to go away. They want a leader with the financial skills that Jackie and Sheila exhibit, but they also want the next person to continue and increase the culture of relatability and personality that the board and the town administrator have created over the last several years. They want a strong leader, level-headed, who's kind, who's outward looking, and again, inviting, and someone with some experience. The experience is important to them. They want someone who can be familiar with Eastham, who is especially sensitive to the culture that exists here and the way people operate. Next slide, please. In terms of the challenges, maintaining Eastham's financial integrity and cash reserves was listed by everybody between the staff and the community leaders. Community leaders are especially interested in how the board and the staff are going to effectively manage the tax rate as it continues to deal with some of the challenges that I'll explain in a little bit. But they want some forward planning with that, and they want some a strategic effort at communicating the future financial management of the community as it relates to, future project management. This is more me than the community, but I did ask them about the wastewater and whether they knew the impact of the passage of the article. And the varying degrees, there isn't a lot of familiarity with what impact would be. My experience is that people get excited about passing something grand and wonderful, and then when the tax bill comes, they have a completely different viewpoint. I think the next town administrator really needs to, with the communications staff, develop a strategy for preparing the community for what's going to happen with their tax bill as that project comes online and as it affects the tax rate. That's just as important as communicating about the tax implications of the challenges you're going to have in the future, because I think people's willingness to tax themselves more will depend on how well you communicate, how well they feel included, and how well they understand the impacts of what you've done in the past. With that in mind, I know that you've made a great investment in a communication officer, and she has been working well in establishing herself. The board and the town administrator and the staff are going to have considerable challenges in the future on some very significant projects that have the attention of the community. And I think it's important that the town administrator and the communication director work with the board to develop an overall communication strategy around your priorities, about what you see coming up there. So that the communication, although important on a daily basis, isn't as ad hoc as it currently is now as the person establishes themselves. You have the resources, you have the skills, you have the position. It's up to you and the town administrator to come up with a strategy for how you're going to communicate what you're doing in the future. With that in mind, there are a number of future capital projects and funding financing that people are going to want to need to know about. And scenario planning is important, and the next town administrator has to look at that and come up with that. There are two issues that were on the tongue of everybody, staff and the community leaders as well. The tea time property and the town center property. Staff understood the nuances of what transpired with both of those properties and why there has been not as much action as the community leaders want. But there is a lot of anxiety and impatience in the community, or at least amongst the community leaders, about where that's going and why isn't it moving faster. And I know that you've done a really good job at changing the zoning and preparing the site and making sure that you're ready once you go to have a successful project. But I think, again, along the lines and the connectiveness of a communication strategy, communicating that you can't do it enough, and engaging the community about where this goes is important because everybody seems to be watching it and everybody wants some action on it. I know that you've got some future plans on Route 6, which would require a significant amount of your time and also political capital, both on the state and local level, to make happen. One thing you may want to consider based on my own experience is if you want it to come up higher on the state financing priority list, is to consider, as you do your future capital planning, upfront funding the engineering so that you have a plan in place up front. Because a lot of the communities on the Cape that compete for these projects compete on a design level and not a construction level. And there's a tremendous amount of attraction to the state to grant money for projects that have visible results quickly. And if you look at what Dennis did in Dennisport, Dennis actually did all the engineering at its own cost, was ready. The money at one time was earmarked for one community, but they weren't ready to go because their engineering wasn't ready, and we slipped right in there. If you really want to do that project and have the state fund it, you might want to consider that. You can always go back and get refunded from the state for the resources that you allocated. If you consider the assistant as a candidate, you also have to future plan for the finance operation. Right now, the assistant plays a significant role in a lot of the financial planning for the community. And that's a heavy lift for him to continue, both as town administrator and as finance director. And, you know, it's just an issue that the new town administrator has to deal with, and the board has to deal with if you're moving forward. Succession planning is also a huge issue. There's been a lot of turnover in the Cape. You've got an issue with public safety people where a lot of communities are stealing some of your help and paying them, staying comparable with your wages in public safety on the Cape can be very challenging. Coming up with plans to make sure that when you have a department head or staff retire or move on, that you're grooming your people internally to either take their place or have a strategy for recruitment where you're ready to go when you don't have lots of vacancies in your organization so that you can continue to do the work. One issue that came up that's worth mentioning is the real estate tax exemption. I was able to, as I mentioned, able to interview a couple of non-resident taxpayers. And there's a little disconnect between the action and their understanding of why it's so important and why you need to invest in the economic viability of the people that are here to serve you, to fix your homes, operate your supermarkets or other local, your plumber, your electrician. But in the two people that I interviewed, there was an expression of frustration and a feeling that they weren't necessarily appreciated or taken for granted. And I know that you do a lot of work, as most of the communities do on Cape Cod, trying to communicate with the non-resident taxpayers on a regular basis. I think with the passage of RTE, the next town administrator has to be aware of some of the default points in that and the requirement to do some outreach to the non-resident taxpayers so that there's a feeling of understanding and inclusion, because I do think that there's a disconnect between what they see and what the real purpose of the RTE is and why it's important to Cape Cod. That's basically, what the challenges you have in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. You have all the material. I know you've got other stuff to do, and I'm happy to leave without any further ado.
Anything?
Yeah, no, very impressive. It's nice to hear how people feel about the town when, someone they don't know comes asking, and
Everything, I also made it clear that everything they said to me was confidential and it wasn't attributed to anybody specifically.
Right.
So if there was something there, I would have heard this.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for doing a really thorough job. I read all of the interview notes that were provided, and it was very comprehensive. And again, I was also very pleased to hear some of the feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. It's probably hiring Jackie's replacement is probably the most important thing we can do this year, or maybe for the next couple of years, as it turns out. But one of the things that impressed me was the general consensus that people liked that we work together here in Eastham. And I think that that's really an important factor for us to look at. Kind of the chemistry is, as I like to quote Larry Lucchino, he started out being a biology major, getting the best player he could, and then he changed to become a chemistry major, so someone who fit in the team. And I think that that's important for us. And I appreciate you talking to everyone, and I appreciate everyone who spoke with you, and we appreciate your comments as we kind of decide where we go next. I mean, I think we're early enough in the process that we have lots of options that we can take, and we're kind of steering in one direction, but we want to make sure we're ready. So we appreciate everything you did for us.
I'm around if you need me,
Yeah.
whenever you need me. And again, how the board works together was described to me as an Eastham value.
Yeah. Well, Thank you. That's one of the reasons I start with a joke, because everybody then agrees that I'm
Yeah, I'm
awful
not-
joke.
I
I'm
didn't
an
get
awful
any-
joke teller, and it's just.
I didn't get any feedback about your jokes. I'm sorry.
We're gonna have to start voting on your jokes. Is
No,
that-
don't vote on my jokes.
Too much to talk about.
Anyway, thank you. I did forget at the beginning of the meeting to read the following. Just so you know, if Rick and that this meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. We're far from perfect here in Eastham, but we work at it. All right.
Our intentions are good.
Right.
Our intentions are good, that's right, and we work together. All right, next item on the agenda is licensing. It's a one-day liquor license for Sirens and Sailors LLC, doing business as Sirens and Sailors which is taking over the spot where Artichoke was.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, the one in the packet was.
It's off the agenda? I'm sorry. It's not on the agenda. Another.
Good. Yeah, because it isn't on the,
they're
That's
coming to talk to you on December 1st. 'cause I
December
think
1?
Their event is December 4th.
All right, yeah, it is December 4th. Okay, we got that. All right, now.
I'm sorry. Sorry,
we
I
got up.
led you the wrong path.
That's all right. Administrative matters, we're on to the Energy and Climate Action Committee. Adoption of zero emission vehicle first policy and also the roadmap. So, I don't know, Tom, you're here. Roberta, I don't know if you're going to join as well, but you're welcome to either stand up there or sit down at the table here. Make sure the green light's on the mics if you sit down.
There are 3 things they want.
All right.
Hey, good evening. I think you've had several presentations, so I wasn't going to go into this in any level of detail, but I'll just give 3 key items. One is that this all stems from the vote at town meeting some years ago that said we should move towards reducing our emissions of fossil fuel pollution to combat climate change. So it's originating out of that. The second is that it sets up a clear long-term roadmap that is both logical and reasonable and practicable, as the legal language says, that gives us an opportunity to know how to move towards reducing our fossil fuel emissions. And it does not corner the town staff in any way into bad decisions. It provides flexibility as the state of technology and the state of procurement progresses in being able to move towards a more electrified vehicle fleet and more electrified building heating and ventilation. And the third is that it sets an example. It shows to the town. In fact, the town has been mentioning in some of the interviews that the Cape Cod Commission has done towards the Climate Action Plan, that they'd like to see the town take more, lead more by example in terms of steps towards combating climate change. And this does so, again, in a very practical manner and in a manner that's designed to be financially advantageous for the town because it provides grant opportunities. So this moves us to the Green Communities 2.0, which they're calling Climate Leaders. And that gives us the opportunity for a $1 million grant to do some very significant work that will offset the capital budget. So those are the three key points I wanted to make.
Right. Thank you, Tom. First of all, I want to thank you, your committee, and thank DPW staff and the rest of Eastham staff for the thorough paper that we received. Is that a good term, a good way to do it? A thorough paper in our packet on what's going on. I really appreciate it. And I look at it, first of all, looking at 2 things. First is the vehicle, and I just want to make sure I fully understand. I think from last time you were here, Tom, it's it's not if we sign onto this, it's not requiring the town to purchase an electric vehicle. It has to be practical. We have to have somebody around who can maintain them or repair them. We have to have the ability to recharge them, et cetera. And that's, so you go down the list. If we don't have that, then you look at a plug-in hybrid and how those go. And I imagine we have the ability to look at expense too that the town can
Correct.
pull off. For example, if the electric vehicle is twice as much as a gas vehicle and we just don't have the budget, we can do that. I mean, we're not forcing the town to do something if we sign on to this, but it's a guideline for us and we want to move towards, and it would be the select board saying we want the town to move in this direction if possible, but that's what we have to do and look at it.
I have a
It-
question on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to wait?
No, on the vehicle one?
The vehicle one.
Go ahead, ask it.
So, that's really my question. Is it really a guideline? Because if somebody decided in DPW or whatever that they needed a gasoline engine over a electric vehicle, do they make the decision, or is there some checklist that they have to go through? Is there the decision police on this? I mean, do we have to justify not buying an EV? How does that work? How is this managed?
The authority is vested with the town manager. And it specifically calls out for meeting the needs of the department. All of the things that Jerry just mentioned in terms of the ability to go do a fair procurement, the ability of the market to fulfill the needs, the operational needs, and the overall cost needs of the department.
So there's no tracking of this other than, I'm trying to figure out we know what the criteria is and it makes perfect sense. I totally agree with it. I'm just trying to figure out how it's administered.
Tom, maybe I can help you. You may not know, but we have a very detailed capital improvement plan. It's, well, very summarized, but drills down to a lot of detail, including a
I've seen that. What cars are-
town-wide
Yeah,
fleet inventory
right.
with every vehicle. And every vehicle that's up for replacement is part of the capital improvement plan and budget. We asked the department heads to kind of justify, the condition assessment of the existing vehicle and what are they replacing it with, and do they really need it, that version of it, or can we scale it back, or do they need something more? So it's a constant every year as part of the capital budget process, a right sizing of the fleet exercise.
So when someone purchases something, if there's a write-up about it, a capital item, and in this case, would there be a rationale why that particular vehicle type was purchased?
Right, and I didn't mention that, but you're right. Whenever we have something showing up on the capital budget that's not part of the recurring replacement programs, we do ask for a specific write-up on the item. So probably part of the administration of this would be including a section on this policy in that write-up. It makes a lot of sense.
Got it.
Yeah,
But one of the things I was happy about in it is that it really does take the needs of certain departments that really do need heavier equipment, and it might be really not only cost prohibitive, but we might not be able to get the electric form of it. It really allowed us to continue.
I like that as well.
right.
Yeah.
Now, is it, Jackie and Rich, I guess I'll put to you, is if we, just on the vehicles, would we go there, do we see any significant additional workload on staff if we say yes to this? It sounds to me like we already have, you've got to go through this to justify getting a new vehicle, so it sounds like it may not be an added burden, but I'm just asking.
Maybe a little bit of just exploring additional options that might
Okay.
not traditionally have. But I
Mhm.
think that's probably healthy, that we should always be abreast of what the options are and are available to us. So might be a little bit extra than what we have done in the past, but we probably ought to be doing it anyway.
All right. Amy, anything on
No.
on the vehicle one? I've got a few more questions that I kind of have on the decarbonization roadmap.
Yep, going to
Right.
vehicles.
That's good. Then we'll get all of it together at the end. Looking at the decarbonization roadmap, I mean, going through that list and looking at all our properties, it kind of said, oh my gosh, we have to do all this stuff to these, but many of the buildings that the town owns, their HVAC is nearing at the end of its useful life. And some of the things in the article talked about what we should be doing before we have to replace the HVAC is insulating and weather stripping and whatever else. If we sign onto this, is that the same kind of question as in the vehicles? Is that a demand upon the town? Is that if we do this, we now have to in town hall and council of aging and so forth, start to immediately go through and insulate and so forth these buildings? It's just a question. And then Tom or Roberta, as we look at the grants, what would we be applying for a grant? What would we be applying for to do with those funds if we get one?
So the plan is a guideline, and I'm sure Rich can help because these all tie into the capital plan, right? And it is timed to look at the useful life and the expiration of the useful life of all the different equipment in the buildings. Typically, before you redo HVAC, it's a good idea to stop the release of heat, and through the windows and through the walls. So it's a good time to consider that. But again, as I read it, it's a recommendation, and there would be dollars associated with that because typically a lot of these grants from DOER ask you to take a look at the weatherization first, which also gives you a better baseline for sizing the HVAC equipment that would go in.
I guess I could add to that is unlike the Green Communities designation grant that we received, in order to get that designation grant, we had to identify projects and work to achieve a 20% energy reduction. So those projects for the Green Communities grant did weatherization, did insulation, did lighting. And so substantially those things are already done. What wasn't done under Green Communities because it's so expensive is the HVAC work. So we've closed out our Green Communities grant. And since we've done that, our designation grant, I should say, we are now eligible to apply to Green Communities grant program for new grants through Green Communities. They're discretionary in the state's part, they're competitive. And so we have done that. And we have an application pending for the police department HVAC under the Green Communities program. As part of our designation grant, we use some of our proceeds to do an electrification project at the fire station. So the fire station, with some hopefully final tweaking in the next week or two, will be complete on HVAC. Hopefully we get the grant this winter for the police station, which leaves us, town hall is probably the biggest project, and that's what we're eyeing for $1 million decarbonization grant under that decarbonization roadmap.
And to apply for that, we would have to
Have these in place.
adopt these. That's excellent.
And just one
Tom?
mention, we also have the opportunity, Rich, if we want to apply for I think it's $150,000 technical assistance grant to help us scope out that $1 million grant. So there's a lot of pieces involved in something that big. So it's good to see that they're willing to provide that up front to help with that.
That's great. I have one crazy nitpick that had nothing to do how I'll ever vote on this thing. I remember, I don't know how long ago that we had many of the street lights replaced at no cost to us. Yet, as I looked at in the charts, the street lighting number, the carbon footprint has stayed the same. Did it happen before 2022 that we didn't see a change going from incandescent or whatever we had to LEDs?
It's a good question. The baseline of the plan, and we've questioned it because we helped Rich in terms of scrubbing the plan to make sure it represented the state of the different buildings, but their baseline is 2022. And so things that happened after that, for instance, the fire department upgrade is not fully listed in that baseline. It will
Okay.
be recorded as the plan gets updated. Street lights are the same.
All right, it was just curious. Gee, I thought we would be saving a little bit of money, but I know it didn't cost us anything. It was a great thing to do. Bob or Amy?
I just want to confirm this, we would be voting for a strategic direction, which we do in our strategic direction anyway, have money allocated for some of these projects because these are facilities that need to be maintained. So does voting for this direction also require us to spend that money? Or are they just coincidental? Is there
No.
separation there?
And that's why I started on my little spiel there on green communities. That required us to spend money on certain things because we committed to energy reduction plan. This does not. There's no award by receiving this designation. We still have to apply for every project, and they give it on its merits or not. So this doesn't necessarily require us to do any certain projects, but it does allow us to apply for grants for projects that fit within their scope.
And this almost dovetails with what Rick was saying, in that there's a plan. You know, that we've got a plan here to show to the state if we're looking for money. So I love the idea that we've actually, codified what the problems are in each one of these facilities. And so we've got a plan of attack. I assume that I read this, but I may have missed it. Out of the half dozen or so facilities, is there a priority? Like, is town hall more important than something else? I mean, in that regard, that's what I love about this document, is that we can get something up against the wall and then we can start to fund it.
Yeah, so every year as part of the capital plan, we have a kind of a dedicated amount based on engineering study we did a couple of years ago of how much we allocate to each building every year. It's the same amount every year. It's a straight line amount. Theoretically, at the end of the 20 years, we should have enough resources to have done all the work. But of course, the timing of the work isn't going to line up with the funding of a lot of big projects have to happen now or soon, and we're not going to have 20 years to accumulate resources. So that's why we look to grants to kind of plug those holes if we can. But every building gets in addition to that funding that the engineering report kind of justifies the level of funding, every year as a part of the capital project, we ask the department heads and the DPW to prioritize their list of things to their specific building.
Right. By
And then I
department.
check with the department head, and then I check with the DPW. And if there's any difference in opinion, then we kind of hash that out and we come up with a prioritization. And we don't plan out 20 years. We just do, immediate. What's the next 1 to 3 years? And we schedule that out over 3 years. And that's kind of the work plan for the facility.
So I'm all in favor of adopting this as a strategy for, how we would go about enhancing these facilities.
And if people ask, we have a document we can plop on them. So that's good.
Little late night reading, right?
Some late night read. That's our time. Amy, anything
No,
further?
yeah, it's great.
Anything-
It's
Now, to get where we are, you would like, what you're looking for tonight is a vote to adopt the electric vehicle first policy. That's one vote. We'll do that one. Another one would be to adopt the decarbonization roadmap, which is the one that has all the buildings, et cetera, in it. And I think the last one is to vote to submit an application for climate leader designation so we can then apply for these
For the
these
$1
loans,
billion
the
grant.
$1 million. Mhm. Okay, so yes, it's imperative if we're gonna do it, to do it tonight, so you have time to apply. All right, so I think what we need to do is 3 separate votes. If there's no further, we go, a motion to adopt the electric vehicle first policy.
Right,
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, Amy, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? 3-0. Let's go to adopt the decarbonization roadmap and all the the many page, no, the many pages that it has. Do we have a motion to adopt the decarbonization roadmap?
So moved.
Second.
Second, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none? So now a vote to submit an application. I think those are things that I have to put my name on, right? Submit an application.
It says Jerry Son.
Gary Son, yeah. Well, my last name isn't signed, so I don't know. But,
Got the wrong Jerry.
vote for an application for climate, leadership designation. Vote
So
to
moved.
apply. So moved.
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay. Tom, that was a lot easier than trying to get you on the zoning task force.
I got signed in this morning until death do I part.
So that's the part, that's right.
I was told.
All right, well,
Thank
listen,
you so much.
again, thank
Yeah.
you.
Wow.
Nice job.
Thank the committee and again to staff. I know they did a lot of work on all of this. Thank them all.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Jerry, I
it.
just want to mention that Shayna Brogan is on the line and
Oh,
she's done a
Shane,
lot of the work, especially on the application with the Energy Committee.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know Shane has done a ton. Yeah, she wrote, no offense, Tom, she wrote a very nice short memo for us.
Even
So
shorter than
One
that.
thank you,
page.
thank you. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you.
Tremendous help
Hey.
keeping us on the straight and narrow.
On the straight and narrow, that's
Very
good.
much appreciate her.
Way to go. All right, so thank you again.
you.
Appreciate it. We're now I think next item is you, Jackie, the town
I don't-
manager's
I don't
report.
have a formal report tonight. I wanted to focus on two things, though. One is the Turnip Festival activities for everyone. They have this beautiful brochure, but it's also listed pretty definitely online and in other places. But and then following up with that, I do think that we are moving towards having a plan for the library roof.
Ooh.
And I hope to be able to talk about that at our next meeting. The
Wonderful.
Architects / engineers are saying that they will have a proposal for me by
That's-
Thanksgiving, so.
That's,
Next week.
that's excellent.
Are we having any more damage? Is,
No, we're holding steady right now.
I don't know if there's any wood. That's wood, yes.
so they're looking at some redesign?
They're looking at two options, but the one that's, I think, gonna be the one that they're focusing most of their attention on is redoing a portion of the roof. So that seam and valley that is the
Okay.
cause of the problem. They think that they can come up with a plan to redo that without having to do the whole roof. So that's what we're looking forward to.
That's good.
Got it.
Hey, the library is one of one of the Eastham's gems, so
But so far, the
Work at it.
repair is holding.
that's good. All right, any new upcoming agenda items or follow-up? Anything that you all remember or? All right,
Tonight, thank you.
well, not tonight yet. Tonight was forget different things tonight. Okay, so we'll go to minutes. We have two sets of minutes, one, November 3rd Board of Water Commissioners. And, I think we were all here for that. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the November 3rd minutes for regular session and for Board of Water Commissioners.
Oh, both.
I
of
second.
them. Okay. Any further discussion? You're
there.
moving, yeah, you're pushing me, Amy. Any further discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. All right, any other business or correspondence or anything? Do I hear a motion
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? No discussion, shocking. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none? We are adjourned, thank you.